Southern Illinois University wrapped up a 12-21 season. Here to talk more with me about the Salukis is Tyler Davis from the Daily Egyptian. Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Anthony?
I'm great, thank you. So, give me the recap on the season for Southern Illinois.
Well, SIU season was pretty much as you would have thought, having only three upperclassmen. They started at least two freshmen in a majority of their games. Very streaky season from an immature bunch, led by a two-time MVC All-MVC selection, Anthony Bean. The guard he's played great. But besides that, he hasn't had another player average over 10 points. So they started out the season pretty well. At one point, they're 6-3. Then they went on a 7-game losing streak, and that pretty much spelled the end for the season. They ended up being a ninth seed in the MVC for the tournament. Won their first game, lost their second to Wichita State, who was going to be in the NCAA tournament. Really, the tale of the season was just a young squad. Barry Hinson, the head coach, was happy to have teams. In his third year, he's finally got a team full of players that he recruited, players that he wanted. So there were some growing pains, though, and the team struggled on offense a lot of the time. The defense was pretty good all season. But they'll return a high majority of their players. Dawson Verhines, a walk-on who played minimal minutes, is the only guy that they lose unless someone transfers. So I think that next year will probably be a step up.
Now, talk a little bit more about stepping up, the cohesion between all the players. Who's going to lead the squad?
Well, you have Bean, of course, who averaged, I think, 15 points a game this year, somewhere in that range. He's had a couple 20-point performances, and he's really just been their catalyst on offense. They got Jalen Pendleton, kind of the emotional six-man off the bench. He's a junior, another guard, but can also play the forward position. Very aggressive, very vocal, and he comes off as a leader. Sean O'Brien, he'll be a junior next year. He's a forward. He's got versatility and started off the season well, but he kind of tapered off a bit. I think two of the big guys you need to watch, though, are freshmen. Deion Lavender, a guard from Alton, Illinois, and Jordan Caroline, a forward from Champaign. He's actually the son of Simeon Rice, the NFL All-Pro. Yeah, those two both had solid freshman season. Caroline was a top 10 in rebounders in the Valley. So I think for years to come, they'll be the leaders. But Barry Hinson definitely said the team needs to find a true point guard to lead the team in the next coming seasons.
Could you give me a rough estimate of a win total that this team might be aiming for next season?
If they set up the cushiony schedule like they did this year, looking at the schedule, they only had one out-of-conference team that's going to make the tournament, so it's a pretty soft schedule. I could see the team getting 15 or 16 wins, but probably somewhere around the same. The Valley is getting just as good as they are. I mean, Illinois State and UNI are just as young and both better. Wichita State has some freshmen that didn't even touch the floor, so SIU, you kind of know what you're going to get next year, and doesn't leave a whole lot of room for optimism. But with another year, the guys can't be any worse than they were this year, especially with that rough 7-game losing streak.
Right. Let's talk NCAA tournament for a second. Wichita State and UNI are both locks to make it. Out of the two, do you see either of them making a run?
Well, Wichita State and UNI both have solid set identities, both defensive-minded teams. UNI's got Seth Tuttle, the most outstanding player of the MVC tournament, and what some would say probably the best player in the MVC. So he's going to be their catalyst. They got Nate Buss, a good outside shooter. They got some size. I think both teams are going to end up with a top 6 seed, with UNI being the tournament winner, maybe being a top 4 seed. So I could see either of them getting to the Sweet 16, maybe even both. Wichita State, as we all know, had that run last year. They're just as good, if not better. Takil Cotton was a defensive stalwart as a freshman. Very, very energetic player. I saw in the Wichita State game against SIU, no one can guard him. No one is 6'5", 6'6", with that type of speed and quickness. I would probably say Wichita State's the better of the two teams and is more equipped to face better opponents. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if either team made it to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Well, good info from the Missouri Valley Conference. Tyler, thanks for coming on and sharing that with us.
No problem, Anthony. Anytime.